says she was abused since the age of 14 by a man she trusted and esteemed.
And how much better when there's someone that holds your hand that knows.
Interacting with the pastor who in the beginning I obviously saw as a father figure, and I made that clear. And I was very young. I know there are girls who experienced this much younger than I was, but I wasn't mentally capable of understanding. I didn't have the mental capacity to take in everything that was happening. That experience in itself was very painful for me.
I felt like just driving there, taking a gun and shoot him or destroy him in any way, shape or form.
He took off my pants. I was wearing pants that time. And then when I stopped him, he said I'm his girlfriend now, so I mustn't worry about anything. And then after he did that, he took off my pants. When I stopped him, I told him that I can't do this. He shouted at me and told me that I should get out and told Mono just to come. I must just leave because I don't know what I want.
I haven't spoken to my parents since. No one knows. Like, this thing is just, it's difficult. It changes everything. It changes your life. I don't even know how to explain it. And at first, I didn't think that it would have such an impact.
For the past 4 months, Special Assignment has been on the trail of Pastor Timothy Omotoso, founder of the Jesus Dominion International Church. This follows allegations of sexual abuse by many of the alleged victims who approached us to break their silence. Throughout human existence, the good has always existed alongside the bad, and this contamination has permeated even religion, which is supposed to be about purity and goodwill. Unfortunately, vulnerable communities are often the breeding ground for those with ill intentions. This is Secunda, a small town in Umhlanga province. Many people here struggle to make ends meet, which could explain why they have developed a strong sense of faith that one day their fortunes will change. Secunda is one of a number of towns that have become the unlikely playing field for an alleged sex predator that lures young women who run to his church in search of spiritual upliftment. The Jesus Dominion International is an international church that has one of its branches here. Its founder, Prophet Timothy Omotoso, is alleged to be the sex pest that has victimized young women across many of his church branches in South Africa. So far, Special Assignment has been approached by almost 30 young women, some of them from this community, who give an account of their alleged sexual assault by Pastor Omotoso. The pastor allegedly used recruiters to lure young women who would be taken to Durban, isolated from their families and seduced under the pretext of spiritual mentoring.
After church, he actually called me and he's like, no, it was funny actually. He's like, the man of God was asking about you. So to me it clicked that, oh, so it's about that. Like the man of God is asking about you, why you're not coming to Durban and stuff like that. Why are you running away? And I was like, no, I'm busy with school stuff. I think I was in grade 11 then. Like, no, I'm in grade 11. It's hectic. I have hectic subjects. School is hectic. I always made excuses. I can say that I was a good girl, you know. I didn't give my parents problem. I was good at school. I was doing sports. I was just a well-behaved girl. And from then, everything changed. And my parents didn't understand. And I haven't spoken to my parents since. No one knows. Like, this thing is just, it's difficult. It changes everything. It changes your life. I don't even know how to explain it. And at first, I didn't think that it would have such an impact. Because at first, I brushed it off. I'm like, no, you know what? It is what it is. Let me just move on with my life. But then it has an impact on you.
Can we talk about the first time that you guys, I don't know if I should say, had sex with the men? Yeah, can we talk about your experiences individually and what happened?
When we got to the bedroom, he quickly went to his bed and was like, come here. And then I sat next to him. I was like, no, lie down, lie down. And then he was like, you can do anything to me, but don't kiss me. Don't kiss my tongue. Don't touch me here. And then, you know, I was sleeping, looking up straight. Then I did that. You know, not looking at him. Then I was afraid. Like, what am I doing? You know? And then he said, no, just do. He made me feel.
Yeah, he basically
normal.
told you.
Yeah. And then he's like, no, just you can do whatever you want. And then he took my hand, literally put it on his penis. And I was like, okay, this is what I must do now. So I'm like, I'm gonna fall pregnant. And then I told him, I'm like, I'm not on any contraceptives. No, so I think we should use a condom. He said, no, it's fine. It's fine. God will not allow us to have a baby. And then he said, he touched my womb like that. He said, he's blocking my fertility cycle. And I was like, okay. I believed it, you know, seeing the power that he has, I believed it. And then he slept with me. And he was, so I thought I'm doing it wrong because he was not putting it inside. Then he came, okay.
One day I decided that I've had enough of this because I've been stagnant for a year. I was lied to and told I'm gonna go to school, but I'm not doing anything. Instead, I wake up 3 a.m. at night. I have to go massage this man's feet all the time. I'd sleep at 6. I wouldn't even sleep because at 6, at 7, we'd have to wake up. There'd be prayer, there'd be all those sorts of things. So that's how I decided to leave. I left firstly because of the things that he used to do. We'd go around in the house, there'd be happy hour, he'd be spanking us, doing all those, being touchy. So I couldn't understand that. How could God let such a thing happen to so many girls, and yet he says he's still God? So after I left, what I realized is that my spiritual belief, it went down the drain. Since the day I left there, I've never set foot in any church.
To this day, when I think of going to a church, it's hard because I want to believe that God is still there.
I went to church, yeah. Then when I got there, I wanted to confide in him. He's a South African pastor. Then I said, I need God to bring back my faith. There's this other man of God that was doing this and this and this and that, and I need closure to God. I need to come back to his throne because a lot has been happening. You know what he said? Broke my heart, so that I don't believe in pastors, because he said, you are beautiful, so but like what can I do? What can I say? So even him, he was the same. He just said that. He said, what was the pastor supposed to do? So that was not an answer I expected. So I felt like going to the next pastor, it's gonna happen. So it's like, at times I hated being beautiful because it's like you attract attention that is very far away from you.
These young women are few of the lucky ones that escaped after being allegedly trafficked and kept in a house in Durban, some of them allegedly recruited when they were as young as 14 years old. They say they were all treated as sex slaves by Pastor Omotoso for months, some of them years. They also tell us that they left behind many other young women who are still trapped in the web of his deception and abuse. From Umhlanga, our investigation leads us into the heart of the central business district of Durban in KwaZulu-Natal, where we find the headquarters of the Jesus Dominion International Ministry in South Africa. This building on the right is where JDI holds most of its services and crusades, and thousands of people here follow the preachings of its leader, Pastor Tim Omotoso. Once inside the crusade, our investigator discovers that the congregation is fervently praying for any enemies of their pastor to be killed or to die. A disturbing cult-like behavior that, according to our sources, is not uncommon in this church.
Which month are you?
Flanked by his junior pastors and bodyguards, Pastor Omotoso gets into his expensive luxury car. More evidence of this cult-like behavior is apparent when Pastor Omotoso is seemingly being worshipped by his followers. Just before the pastor leaves, we also notice a white bus leaving. We would later find out that sometimes it is allegedly used to transport more than 50 young women that he allegedly keeps in this luxury house in Umhlanga. Our investigation led us to this house, which apparently houses these young women, some of them allegedly without their consent.
Hi. Hello. How are you? I'm okay. Oh, fine. You look beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, who did you would like to meet you in person? Really? Yeah. Okay. So can you give me a number? Yeah, sure.
The young women say the modus operandi is that they are initially approached by an older woman during or after the church service. Numbers are exchanged with the alleged recruiter, and they are reportedly put in direct contact with the church leader. The women say they are then invited by the recruiter to a house in Umhlanga, where they are introduced to the pastor and taken to his room.
Hi, this is the church leader I was telling you about.
Oh, nice.
The alleged seduction normally starts by asking them to massage his feet, then his legs, to the point where they say he asks them to join him on the bed, and then proceeds to perform different sexual acts on them.
Come, don't be shy then. Come to me. Don't be shy.
In our interaction with the young women in Secunda, we learned that there are more young women in Port Elizabeth who also say they've experienced unwarranted sexual victimization by Pastor Omotoso. This 23-year-old woman relates how she was recruited a few years ago from Port Elizabeth and taken to a crusade in Durban, where she was taken to a house in Umhlanga along with several other young women.
The prophet was just chilling with the girls, and for me, that kind of environment or that kind of setup I was very surprised. The first thing that he said to me, which was shocking, was the compliment he gave me, and the compliment that I never thought a man of God would give, which was that I have a beautiful body and I can make men go crazy in bed.
But that was just the beginning.
One thing that made me have certain doubts about what was really happening there was when the recruiter came and she asked the girls, she told the girls that woman of God is looking for someone that can go and massage his feet. That was the first thing that made me doubt about what is it exactly that these young girls are doing there with where the man of God was. So then the second thing was when they asked me when the recruiter said that the man of God is calling me, he wants to see me, and that when I get into the room I must close the door on my way in.
In Port Elizabeth, we also meet one of the former male members of the church who says he left after he was terrorized by the pastor for showing an interest in one of the young women.
One day I was called in the office, and the way the questions were asked, the way the man was angry also gave me suspicions. The way he spoke with me insulted me about this girl, asking me that am I here to destroy his girls or am I here for church? He started punching me, being angry about this, asking me to tell him the truth that did I sleep with this girl. He manhandled me to a point where if it was my mate, if it was someone I know, I would fight back for myself.
He says that the men in the church always suspected that something was amiss because of the way the young women were given certain privileges that the young men were not.
There were new girls that were coming to church, new girls that had one day that have been introduced to church, but they've been offered a place to stay. They've been offered accommodation. They've been taken care of, and that gave me a suspicion. Why an eye of the ministry? In fact, why an eye of this man of God of ours is based on women? Why women are being taken care of, whereas us as guys who've been working in the ministry, we're not even paid attention to be cared for.
After breaking the silence about what was happening to their sisters, he says that his life was threatened by senior members in the church. Just after the group started speaking to Special Assignment, many of them received messages like these on social media, and most of them are currently living in fear. Throughout our investigation, we found traumatized people, and the Adassa Center for Women, which specializes in trauma counseling, has offered pro bono assistance.
I won't lie, I'm a bit nervous because it's always a bit difficult for me to talk about what happened, but I really do know that I need it. I need assistance in terms of having someone to talk to openly about this whole thing, so I can move past it.
She says she was molested by Pastor Omotoso since the age of 14. She joined a group therapy session of other traumatized women, but the pent-up emotions proves too much to contain.
Paying forward is the our bolder. comes back into building yourself.
Cheryl Pillay says that dealing with this kind of long-term pain and trauma, regardless of its causes, is difficult.
Interacting with the pastor who in the beginning I obviously saw as a father figure, and I made that clear. And I was very young. I know there are girls who experienced this much younger than I was, but I wasn't mentally capable of understanding. I didn't have the mental capacity to take in everything that was happening. That experience in itself was very painful for me.
In terms of South African law, sex with a minor is considered to be statutory rape. In addition, the Prevention and Combating of Trafficking in Persons Act considers the movement of people under false pretenses as human trafficking.
To undo some of that, it's going to take a long time. But the healing process needs to start sooner than later. And it's maybe to get you away from that, out of that environment, into a different environment where you can start, because you got used to, and this is the one thing, is what is abnormal had now become normal in your life. And so to get back to basic and start believing and trusting people and getting the real thing on your social behavioral changes, a lifestyle change now has to take place, because there was so much hurt and damage done at that time, and you thought it was normal. Yet it's abnormal, and so it's a process, but it can be undone, but it's obviously not a short-term intervention.
Families of the young women we spoke to have also been affected by the stories they tell.
The sun will not come by day, nor the moon at night. The Lord keeps you from all harm and watches over your life. Because I could see the signs. She didn't tell me, actually. I found out on my own. She never mentioned it. I felt like just driving there, taking a gun and shoot him or destroy him in any way, shape or form.
We approached the CRL Commission, which promotes and protects the cultural and religious rights of communities in South Africa.
Religion that is operating in South Africa. And a few months ago, we were approached by a number of young girls that claimed that they've been taken sexually advantage of by this minister. So we decided to come to you today to give you an idea of what the girls are saying.
The outcome should send a very strong message. Number one, in this country, we don't do that to our children. That's the first thing. And secondly, in this country, we don't use God, we don't use Jesus Christ to do our evil. If you want to be evil on your own. Don't invite the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit into your evilness. And we need to send a very strong message to all religious leaders that the religious environment does not allow for you to do wrong things and hide behind the church or whatever other religion.
Besides the speeding up of legislation to include a peer review mechanism for religious leaders, the Commission is currently investigating the allegations and Pastor Omotoso's church. Pastor Omotoso declined a requested interview with Special Assignment and referred us to his church officials, who initially agreed to be interviewed but later withdrew. Special Assignment has been reliably informed that the Hawks have been on the trail of Pastor Omotoso since the beginning of the Easter weekend. This is after some of the young women opened cases against him. At the time of finalizing this program, the Hawks were yet to arrest Pastor Omotoso, despite them having been around his church vicinity throughout the weekend. We are also informed that Omotoso may now have gone AWOL, as they are unable to locate him. Back in Umhlanga, in their difficult journey to find healing, the young women keep their spirits high by reflecting on the possibilities in their lives and constantly sharing their experiences.
Ezimeni, ezinzima.